Hello, everyone. This is Hard Knock Hawks. This is the podcast where we talk about our favorite NBA team, the Atlanta Hawks, and sometimes other things in the NBA too. I'm Anthony, along with my three other hosts. Excuse me, Chris, Leon, and Marco. And today we will be talking about a bunch of stuff today. For one, we're gonna have a bit of an update about the president board operations search that the Hawks have been looking for in the past few weeks. And we will be talking about the NBA draft with a returning guest, David Lee from the Atlanta Hawks Film Room podcast. You can find him on X/Twitter at David Lee at DLee43, and he uses the same handle on YouTube as well. So I'm going to ask you, David, what's up, man? How's it been going lately? Oh, unmute your mic.
Oh, my bad.
You're good.
Yeah, doing good, man. Happy to talk Hawks with y'all. I'm in my scouting mood. Not just draft prospects, but across the NBA, seeing what's going on in the playoffs. And I think, I got to agree with Leon. He's talking about thickness. I think looking at guys, with thighs and ass is what I've been thinking about. Like bigger, bulkier guys with a strong base. That's what my football coach used to say. So, yeah, man.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. But we're going to start a bit about, I want to hear your thoughts generally about the NBA playoffs as of recently. So we have gotten a few confirmed matchups as of late. We know as of right now, the Western Conference Finals, well, not the Western Conference Finals, hasn't been set yet, but we know the Timberwolves are going to the Western Conference Finals for the second time in 2 years. The Pacers are going to the Western Conference Finals for the second time in 2 years. The Cavs got knocked out. The Celtics could potentially be knocked out, but they did win Game 5 at home. It's a whole bunch of interesting stuff in the NBA going on right now. So what do you think of all this, happenings in the NBA? I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of, like the randomness in the NBA going on right now from all this going on.
Yeah, I think honestly, it feels like to me that it's been intentional from the NBA. Like they want to be less predictable. And you said with the draft lottery, they flatten the odds. CBA levels the playing field, and so you only have we haven't had a champion make it out the second round since 2019, and it's looking like Boston might be. They might get packed up against New York too. So I don't know. I like it personally. One thing I don't like is that the Hawks weren't able to take advantage of some of that randomness this year, but I do think that Indiana, New York, Boston, etc., we're all a level above us. So, but I think it's a good lesson to just try to make sure you're ready for every opportunity because I don't think they did. I don't think in the past we've been super proactive with our moves, and I don't know, teams that have clearly surpassed us. So
now I do want go and move on to this president box office search, and this is where I'm going to start bringing everyone in here. And this is all coming from a recent update.
Can I ask you a question quickly?
Yeah,
Are
go
you
ahead.
calling that the role, the president of box office?
No,
for
he
a
just
reason?
messed up.
I messed up.
No. But I think there's something to that though.
Oh,
Like
Lord.
because clearly Tony is only trying to sell tickets.
That's true.
Oh my God.
That's true.
So the box office and you as the number one supporter of Team Bring Zion to Atlanta should embrace that.
They're all trying to sell tickets, man.
Chris is a grumpy old man tonight.
Let me
bedtime.
Let me rephrase what I was saying. The president of board operation search is ongoing for the Hawks recently.
I'm pretty sure you said it wrong again.
Okay. What's the correct way of
president of basketball operations?
It's president of basketball operations.
President of basketball operations. The president of the Hawks. Whatever. Pobo. I'm just calling him Pobo. The Pobo. The Hawks are looking for their new Pobo. That sounds terrible. The Hawks are looking for their new president of basketball. What did you say, Chris? I can't.
So why is this kicking your ass?
Go to the rest of the question.
Okay. I don't know. Okay. I'm tired.
We know who you're asking about.
Yeah. Okay. Mark Stein's recent article for the Sideline, he talked about some recent candidates that the Hawks were interviewing or looking or interested in. There were a few names that some people were familiar with. One of them was Masai Ujiri, which, as everyone knows, is currently the president of basketball operations for the Toronto Raptors. Another name that has become of interest as of late is Alex Saritis, who represents Giannis Antetokounmpo and Bam Adebayo. That is another really interesting name because if you know your Hawks history, in 2013, the Hawks tried to get Giannis Antetokounmpo. Masai tried to get Giannis Antetokounmpo. He actually tried to trade up for him, but they both failed because Milwaukee ended up drafting him in 2013 with the 15th pick. So eventually, we can make all these conspiracy theories that the Hawks may be trying to get Giannis. So we talked about this a bit before we start recording. And I'm going to start with you, Marco. What's your thoughts on this whole search lately about the candidates that they're trying to look for right now?
I mean, hey, they're doing their due diligence. You know, they're casting a wide net, not settling on the first big name they have a chance at. You know, making sure that seems like they're making sure whoever they pick has like real experience. You know, respect the guy around the league, somebody that can actually be a Robin to our Batman, which is Anzi. So you know, it's nice that they're doing it. Masai, you know, he's the ops. He definitely has been, you know, a pain in our side for a grip, but you know, he fits what you're looking for. He's respected, knows how to get deals done. If he's a very I'm gonna get this done type of guy, knows he's been in the front. I don't know how long he's been with Toronto, to be honest with you. So but he's been there a pretty long time. So out of the guys that are like have been listed so far, he's like probably the most experienced, most well vetted on it. You know, he's been through 2 different generations of basketball, so he's keeping up with the league. With Giannis's agent, that would be interesting because now it's like, as an agent, do you want him to come here or you know stuff like that? But I think, like I said, I'm glad that they're casting a wide net, doing their due diligence, and hopefully we get a hire soon so we can put this behind us. Chris, what about you, man?
I mean, no, yeah, there's a lot of smoke in the Giannis fire. We'll see what happens. I mean, we might not have any idea who they're going to hire at this point. There's a lot of names coming out, Danny Ferry and Bob Myers. Just a lot of misdirection at this time. I mean, you still have teams in the playoffs that might be looking for a guy. So we'll kind of see how that shakes out over the next week or so. Hopefully they can kind of get that nailed down. You do probably want to get a guy in like as soon as possible. Right now, the draft is coming up, and you're doing this process. Pretty important picks coming up, and kind of gotta plan out the off season. I think would be one of the bigger things. So hopefully they can just find a guy that is on the same page. If it's Giannis's agent, awesome. As long as we get Giannis. I'm not a big fan of Masai. He's kind of been in the way. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, I mean, I'm not against the agent route, and it seems to be the way a few teams are going. And right, if these guys have the connections to get deals done, then do it, Leon.
Yeah. What do you think, Leon?
I think, you know, the biggest thing is you want somebody who can play carrot and stick with other teams, and that comes in many different iterations. I think Masai would be good because, you know, a couple of years ago when we were in the Pascal talks, we learned a lot from some Raptors fans about Masai. And one thing about Masai is Masai does not like to lose. So I think getting a president that doesn't like to lose and hates losing as much as Masai does would be good for a team that, and for an organization that at times has been a bit, shall I say, has lacked a sense of urgency, so it seemed, in a lot of situations in the past couple of years. So he'd be good. Obviously, he's respected and he gets what he wants more often than not. And, you know, he tends to position his team well to continue to make moves moving forward. So that's good. And he has a decent drafting track record, in my opinion. especially in the first round, which is important to me. Basically, what you want is clearly they're trying to keep the GM Monticello in place while he was promoted. So you need somebody who can facilitate the vision that he has as far as team building. So, that means getting deals done, going out to get guys, signing guys in free agency, making the trades and winning trades. Because we're in a position where we can't really lose a lot of trades if we're gonna try to sustain winning. So, whoever the guy is, I just hope he has the connections, and that's really the big thing. That he's got a big carrot and a big stick, and Paul's phrasing. But that's what it is. We're in win now mode, right? Regardless of what anybody tells you. Everybody who's being interviewed is being made to understand that. So that's what we gotta keep hammering home, keep moving forward. What about you, David? I think you didn't answer yet.
Yeah, I think good thoughts. And I'd forgotten that he actually started his career in Denver, and he got that team to the playoffs for the first time in a couple of years. Won an executive of the year over there. He's the only non-American to ever win that, which I thought was interesting. But I think y'all's points about him like refusing to lose is a really good point, because he made a lot of hard decisions when he was in Toronto. Like, it's not easy to trade away someone like DeMar DeRozan, who was beloved by everyone. And I think being an executive is not an emotional business. Like, you have to be able to sometimes do what the fans don't want to do. Now, I don't think it has any implications for anyone, like particularly on the roster, but I think the biggest thing, and I think y'all have talked about this in the chat as well, is Onsi he's a new GM, right? So he may not have the level of connections or sort of ties across the league that someone like a Masai or an Asian would have. So I think that pairing makes intuitive sense to me. I just want to make sure that the organization remains on that same sort of like team building and roster construction mindset, because it seems like they were finally aligned. Like, the owner got out the way, he got his son out the way a little bit. Landry, for all his faults, seems like they were building towards something, like as an organization, with some of the draft selections and some of the trades. And so bringing in someone with a directly contrasting mindset is like the only thing I'm really worried about. But I mean, I wouldn't be mad with Masai, and I like the idea of bringing in an Asian as well for relations.
I think my main concern with getting Masai in here is the front office for the Hawks is very famously, very collaborative.
Mhm.
And Masai would probably want a lot more power than, the past general managers and presidents that we had in the past few years. And I
Mhm.
have a feeling that he would most likely, butt heads a lot with someone like Tony Ressler during like some of these trades and stuff. Like, he's gonna be asking, if he comes over here, for a lot of money, a lot of power, just a lot of control in general. And it's just gonna go against that entire collaborative process. Now, whether or not that's gonna be a good thing or not, if he does come over here, we'll just have to wait and see. But like you guys mentioned, he doesn't like to lose. Like, he's always been trying to make his teams a consistently competitive team no matter what. We even saw it even during the Raptors season. He traded for Brandon Ingram so they can try to actually be competitive for next season. He doesn't like tanking at all. So maybe if they do decide to go for Masai Ujiri, it will be a good thing. But I don't know if they would decide to hire him despite his connections and stuff, because it seems like it would just go against what they've been, their process of how they generally do things. But maybe they need that change. I think it's going to be a very interesting thing for what they're going to try to do for the next few weeks as they try to like decide who they hire for their next president of basketball operations. There, I said it right. But
I mean, I would love someone who would tell Tony like the hard truth.
yeah,
It's I don't think like very many people have insight into what the front office looks like on a day to day. But I mean, I would imagine that like any other NBA franchise, the owner is a little bit too involved. So I think having someone who says, "This is my pedigree. This is what I think we should do."
And Masai could say, "Hey,
Yeah.
I want a chip. I know how to do this."
Mhm.
So, I know the steps on how to win a championship team. You don't know how to do it, so you need to trust me on how to do the process and let me handle this stuff. So I
Yeah.
could see it doing that, how it can probably work. So overall, I think if we do hire Masai, I think it will probably be very interesting. I think there will most likely be a very, very controversial trade immediately if like as soon as we hire him. But like everyone else here said, he doesn't like to lose. He wants the team to be instantly better no matter what happens. So yeah, that's just I think like I mentioned earlier, we have some really interesting choices. So I really want this hiring process to be done over though, because yeah, if the NBA draft combine, which we're about to talk about soon, it's already starting now. The Hawks team have a representative for during the draft lottery. So who knows what they're gonna be doing for the draft, which we're gonna actually start talking about now. So for the NBA draft, we did get the 13th pick from the Sacramento Kings. Thankfully, no, funky odds and stuff. And like we mentioned earlier, we got Blakers 22nd pick. So there are a whole bunch of shenanigans and candidates that we can pick for these two players. But the main thing I want to ask everyone in here is, would you guys keep the picks or would you just trade them? Like one or both of them to make the roster better. And I'm gonna start with you, Leon.
You have future facing picks. Obviously you have two this year, but I think one of them needs to be selected. I don't believe that we're a deep enough team to consolidate for a star. Unless you're, I think I was on We Talk Hawks earlier today, and they were talking about Marion, who has some interesting takes. Said we should trade 13 for Bobby Portis. Now, I like Bobby Portis as much as the next guy. I might trade 22 for Bobby Portis, but I'm certainly not trading a lottery pick for Bobby Portis. So it's all about team building, and team building in and of itself is an interesting concept because, especially when you have a number of assets and avenues and you have a number of holes to fill on your roster. Excuse me, as we've been talking about lately, or for a year or so now, we need the jumbo playmaking, shot creating wing. We tried to get Brendan Ingram. We tried to get Pascal Siakam. Failed on both fronts. But now you have everything else but that. How do you get that? Is that a player that you could draft at 13 or 22? Probably not. But if you're going to go out and get that guy, you're probably going to lose some of those other pieces that you have to complete your team. So you need to load up or maybe double up at a couple of those spots so that if you do consolidate for a big name or even a, upper echelon, but not top guy, that you still have the, the requisite depth to continue to build a team that can compete, because as we're seeing, like having 2 stars and a bunch of, or even 3 stars and a bunch of BS around them is not winning games. Those teams are not making the playoffs, like let alone getting to the playoffs and fizzling out. We're talking about not making the playoffs. So it's an interesting slope. If it was me, I would use both picks to make a pick. I think moving up I don't think that 13 and 22 is going to move you up to a spot where you're going to get much better value than picking at 13 and 22, if that makes sense. Unless there's just a guy that you fall in love with. Pick 2, and then you can go into the literally pick 2 and then go into free agency and trade season once the new league year starts with a lot of young guys making a little bit of money on your books, so you can, try for a big name and still have a team that can compete. What about you, Chris?
No, yeah, I'm with you on I would pick both. I would use both picks on players. I think the Hawks are a team that need just NBA level talent at really badly. They had G Leaguers out in the rotation for way too many games. I think they've gone multiple seasons now without a true backup for Trey, without a true backup for Jalen. I think it'd be smart, especially to use the lottery pick in this draft. I think the BPA fit area, like outside that the first two tiers, when teams actually start making decisions. I think it'll be interesting to see who kind of tumbles out of that and who will be there for the Hawks. I think they have a chance to get a fun player, pretty much no matter what direction they go. And then 22, right? This is a talented draft. I think there will be another good player for them to get who can help them off the bench. You just need bodies at this point, especially if you do want to make that big trade, right? I think right now you probably your NBA bodies, you got 5, right? So if you take another couple guys, now you're up to 7. Then maybe yeah, you can think about making that trade and then filling things out in free agency. But I think doing that before the draft would be tough. Want contracts and all that anyway. Teams kind of would want more time to vet out the process and see what other people have. But I think you put yourself in a good position if you use both picks, and then you give yourself options, right? You can, like Leon said, double up. Like if you think you're going to trade X, Y, or Z, then you add X and Y, and then those guys are on the table. So yeah, D Lee.
What? Oh yeah, go ahead. My bad.
Yeah, no problem. I think it's interesting because I was just speaking with some Rockets guys, and I was talking like with them about the draft, and they were asking like, okay, who would I consider for them at that pick? And there are some guys for the Rockets who I feel like are a bit like duplicative, right? Like Rasheer Fleming has shades of Jabari Smith Jr. or Carter Bryant has shades of Tari Eason, whatever it may be. But that team is going to consolidate, right? And so because that team is going to consolidate, it would make sense to me if you're not going to use that pick in that trade, go ahead and take a Carter Bryant or take a Rasheer Fleming, someone like that who could potentially either be part of a package or be that replacement for that guy you'll be trading away. And so I really like that point that you made, Chris, because I think for the Hawks perspective, like, you know, there's a certain amount of guys that I consider untouchable, but there's guys in this draft that could step in and give you, you know, maybe 70 to 80% of what you're getting from some guys in the rotation right now. And I think it's a lot of it, what they'll decide to do will come down to what they think they can get with that draft pick. Like we saw the way they navigated the draft before they traded for Dyson, right? I'm not a big Stephon Castle guy. I think he's a little bit overrated. I think it's empty calories. But the Hawks may have taken him if they didn't have that Dyson trade on the table. If they were trading DeJounte for a wing or a big, whatever it may be. But because they had that already position of need filled in their head, they're like, okay, we can go and get someone to step into that hole at the shooting guard. So I think that's what I would think is like looking at what this Hawks team needs. I think creation is really hard to get in the draft at our particular range from a reliable guy. Like it'd have to be a senior. It'd have to be, you know, a Nick Clifford, or I don't want to get to names too early, but like it'd be someone like that. Which he has his own, you know, he has his own stipulations, his drawbacks, age, whatever it may be. But I think like from the Hawks perspective, my personal approach would be use both picks, try and get the best talent available, try and find guys who fit into the connectivity, the offense, the switchability, whatever it may be. And yes, I would, you know, selfishly, I want to make both picks anyways. So it also makes sense to me though.
What do you think, Marco?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Marco, go ahead.
My bad. Because you guys basically gave the long answer, so I get the short. I say take both picks because again, if you're trying, like Chris said, if you're trying to make a big move and make that splash, you're going to need those extra guys on the back because you know having cheaper, good talent always helps, especially when you have 3 top guys that are about to get paid on the team, etc., etc. So yeah, basically, yeah, I say take the picks, get best player, you know, available at each pick. I do want a wing and a center personally. If we can get that, if you can net it, then that's how I want to go for it. 22 is basically best center that's on you know, available at that time. Again, don't want to get into names right now. So 13, you take best wing, do what you can. Make sure you get some actual big guys because we do need length, we need size, we need, like you guys got thick boys and thighs and ass. Didn't even know you changed that name. Yeah, just get some big dudes that help the team because we need it.
For me, I think it's a really interesting question. I really think it's more of a case by case basis, honestly.
like you guys said, if we are just getting like a star player, then I think you really just don't have a choice but to just get I mean, not get 2 picks, but to just draft 2 guys because you need to draft like 2 guys to just replace what you don't have anymore from getting those 2 star players. I mean, not 2 star players, but what you traded away, excuse me. But at the same time, like, let's say you traded away one of those picks, let's say from for that star player that you got. I feel that maybe you can make a case that the Hawks arguably don't need that many rookies, but I then again you can just say that they still need that NBA talent and depth right now, right? Because we've seen consistently over and over again the Hawks just if one of these guys just go down, the whole roster just completely collapses. So I'm just overall just leaning at this point on just draft 2 guys and just get over with either way because we just needed the depth overall because it's just either way like this team is just it's like a paper castle. It's just one little win and just everything collapses basically. But I do want to ask you guys this as well. Would there be like any position or just any type of player you just would not just draft at all in general? And I'll just start with you, Dealey, first for this.
Are you saying like at 13 and 22? Or just
Yeah,
like
13 or 22 or both picks, or it doesn't matter.
I don't think I would take Derek Queen, and it's just because I believe in the other centers more for us, and I just don't think that we have the I don't want to compromise our infrastructure further with what we've been
Oh,
building.
interesting.
And I actually don't think he's like I don't think he's going to be a disaster defensively, but I also don't think that he can play the 5 full time in the NBA. It's very similar to Naz Reid. Like Naz Reid can't anchor a defense, but he's such a great offensive player that sometimes they'll have him out there at the 4, like next to a traditional center. And I'm not really interested in taking a guy that we'd have to shift the way that we play and shift the guys we put around Trey to cater to him. So that's like I think it'd be him. Trying to think about someone else. I used to be really high on Neely. Not as high as I used to be. So
Was
I
it the combine results?
it wasn't the combine results. It was just like I really thought that he would be a better shooter at the college level because of the high school stuff.
Oh,
And I still think the volume is fine. It's just seeing him it's just like this. Like if you look unathletic on the college level, that's a problem. And
In the Big East.
yeah, in the Big East
Serious
too.
problem,
Like yeah, like there were a lot of moments where it's just like, man, he couldn't do anything at the rim. He couldn't get past guys. And I'm like, man, like it's gonna be tough for him if the shot is gonna be that inconsistent. I still think he'll be good. I just think we don't have the luxury to have a guy like that in our rotation. And I think shooting is actually one of those things that's a little bit easier to replace. Like we could go get Luke Kennard for pretty
that's
cheap.
true.
And he's a serviceable guy. He's similar to what Conk and Nipple could bring, but I think it's really just like Derek Queen, and then I'll have to look more into McNeely. But like my initial thing is like I don't know if I as I've gotten to know more of the class, it's like okay, I actually don't like that. But he was definitely a guy I was initially high on. What do y'all think of though?
You can just go ahead first, Leon, because I know you're one of our draft guys here. So
Yeah, no small guards. I already got my small guard that I am attached to at the hip. Jace, I love you. I love the bunnies. Nah, bro. You're gonna have to do that somewhere else. Hopefully, maybe you can go to Orlando and have a great time and you can shoot all the threes you want there or something, but we don't have it for you. Yeah, the Danny Wolfs, the Derek Queens, I'm not clearly just not going to be able to anchor a defense at the 5, and probably aren't fluid enough to defend
Yep.
good 4s in the NBA, or laterally explosive enough to defend good forwards at the NBA level, then I can't do it. But those are the two main archetypes: small guard and yeah, no tweeners, no tweeners. Asa Newell. Sorry, all you UGA fans,
Oh yeah, I forgot about. I'm with you on Asa. I'm not moving.
all the UGA fans who want the Hawks to draft a UGA player. It no, no, no. Yeah, that's all. Everything else is fine. And this is like, and there's a lot of Hawks fans that just want to, okay, draft a center, draft a center, draft a center. Okay. Um, don't draft a center just to draft a center when there's a player leagues better than him on the board. If there's a player a tier or two above the best center on the board, you take that player and you figure it out later. Unless they're a small guard. Pretty much every other archetype I'll take.
Hmm.
Except Liam McNeely. No Liam McNeely for me. I'm sorry, I can't do it. Like you said, he just is NBA athletes only, please. Marco.
Yeah. It's funny y'all both brought up Derek Queen because he today said that he interviewed with us. It was, I think, only him and Khan have
Yeah.
confirmed interviews with us. But I'm with you on Derek Queen. I've said in the group chat I don't believe he's a NBA 5. I think he's more so a 4 coming in. I don't really, and we already don't really have a real like paint defense. Don't want to kind of worsen that even more with him because I think we don't really have the guys around him to make up for his lack of defense. So I'm kind of cool off that. No guards, no small guards at all. Like Leon said, I don't really think we need another guard right now. We need to focus on bringing like real height, real size in. So I think that's already out the way. At 22, I can't really give a name right now for who I would not take at 22. It's just again that's a BPA fit for me. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we're having a Derek Queen roast, I mean, I'm always down. I was one of the first guys in the group chat. I mean, look, the kid is a fun, like, looking player, right? Especially offensively, but it's
Yeah.
just the defense in the NBA is just a different level. What you need from a big, right? And for me, it would be no defense bigs. Maybe if a guy really has tools and you think the game in college didn't fit him and you might be able to get something out of him, some toolsy guys. But yeah, no defense bigs, no small guards, like Leon said, those type of guys. Pretty much anything in between, though. I mean, we really need some help on the perimeter. If you can get a big guard or small wing with some juice, I have no problem with that. Or like a 4 that can go block some shots and run and dunk and back up Jalen and do forward things when Jalen sits. That would be great. I have no problem with. There's a lot of players I think in between small guard and like no defense big that I would have no issue with. I think they can. We need NBA like our bench is so wide open. I think that they can just kind of BPA both picks like probably won't hurt as long as it's not not 2 guards that are 6 feet. Shout out to Jace though, man. I mean, clearly he played really well. People thought he was 6'3", you know what I'm saying? You find out he's 6 feet tall. I mean, it's rough. Good luck to you, brother. Ant, what do you think?
Well, I'm basically in agreement with you guys for the most part. If we did draft Derek Queen, I would be fine with it. I'm actually a fan of Derek Queen, but that's okay.
Tomato.
So are we all
tomato.
wrong? Are we all wrong? Anthony?
I mean, I
Tomato.
know.
No,
Hey, listen,
he just likes being the outlier.
no, I do not. I've said I praised Derek Queen before. I like Derek Queen. I will not choose him as my main pick at 13, right? But if he was there at 13 and like all my other options were gone, I'll be like, you know what? Come over here. Come on. Come with us, right? I'll be fine with it. But I wouldn't pick like any small
Fine.
guard.
Just
or-
saying,
What? Go ahead.
like just counting, like if I just count, you know what I mean? It's not fully, but almost mathematically impossible that all my guys are going at 13, and I have to take Garrett Queen.
Yeah.
It's possible.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's
It's
it's
true.
very
possible.
unlikely.
And when I say it's possible, I mean Fear's got to be on the board,
I don't think
and like Igor got to be on the board,
Well-
and like Khan got to be on the board.
we
Like,
talked about that a few
all
times.
the
right? We're
guards,
like,
none of the guards have went. Like none of the guards have went. They just went all centers and forwards
that's
in
true.
the entire lottery up to pick 13.
that would be crazy.
Yeah, that would be insane. That
We said a
there's
few
no way that
times,
would
right? They're like,
happen.
"Oh, he won't be there. He
Crazy.
won't be there." I'm like, "Look, somebody has to fall.
Somebody's
Like,
gotta
everybody
fall.
can't go top 10."
Well,
Yeah,
like the
right.
way the top 10 works, like that's why it's so fun being in the late lottery because
Yeah.
it's so fun because everybody can't go top 10. And if you don't go top 10, and if you don't get top 10 and you're the Hawks sitting there at 13, you're like, okay, well, I mean, shit. If there's 4 guys we like on the board, we're gonna get one of them
Yep.
left, right? Like it's just the
Mhm.
game. So I think the Hawks are in a good spot. I think the people
Yeah.
that one of the obviously we wanted the Lakers to fall off, but Adam Silver wasn't gonna let that happen. So whatever.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Oh, real quick, I will say about Derek Queen, man. If that kid took his fitness seriously, he might be like the number 1 power forward, like on the board. 'cause
I think he
his,
will
like,
take it
ability
seriously.
to like drive. If he got to the like, just with his game, if he got to the combine and looked like an action figure instead of like babyface, because right
The
now, like
Michelin
that
Man?
type of player, just that doesn't really fit in today's NBA, man. Was that report came out about how players
Yeah,
are
he's
running
built like Zach
more than-
Randolph.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that doesn't fit in today's game, right? Like
At all.
you have to
And it's
slow it
offense.
down a lot, which means you're not going to be scoring that much and you're not going to
Yeah.
be able to run with teams. He's an interesting fit. I think you need a team that really sells out and you got to get him to commit. I think he's the type of player that has like first, second option game, but you really it takes full organizational buy-in.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
like you talked about the infrastructure, you really need that. A team like Houston has that around Sengun, right? But how many teams are like really willing to commit to that and like build around that? It's interesting to see where he lands. Like Orlando would be interesting, just
Yeah.
because of what the defense they have around him, or
Mhm.
like putting him next to Wemby. I just think like just any big next to Wemby is a fun idea in general,
Yeah.
but like Queen next to Wemby, right, offsets a lot of those issues. The OKC build, right, all those perimeter guys, and then Chet. Yeah, we'll see where he lands.
But I do want to ask a follow-up question to y'all because I think this, like the concept of we don't typically see teams do this. Like for example, Denver, and it's tough to find them, but like Denver has not found a hub to back up Jokic. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
They
Like,
did. They did.
well, they did. They had Hardenstein for. and they
No,
never,
no.
Are you talking about Deron?
For sure. I love
yeah.
me some Deron Holmes.
Oh yeah, for
man.
sure. But I'm saying like I think it's not often that teams find someone who's even just 70% of their star, right? And so I wonder, and I know the whole small guard stuff, but like, is there anyone in this draft that like I know you said Fears, Trey's a one of a kind player, but I do think there's some value in having your backup come in and you can play at least a little bit similar. You know what I mean? Like that's what I was thinking for Houston. Like Houston, what if they took Derek Queen and now now we're just gonna play hub offense all 48 minutes. Now we're just we're gonna be super versatile. We're gonna play out the post or whatever it may be. I'm just curious on how y'all think about that. I don't think that players in this draft, like it'd have to be like Dylan Harper, and
Yeah.
Dylan Harper would have to be the backup. But I'm just curious, like does that thought process make sense to y'all? And like, because I've never really been big on like the backup guy for trade because I feel like we need Dyson to grow into that and we need,
Mhm.
like a bigger guard anyway. But I'm just curious on how y'all feel about that.
Yeah, no, I do agree, and it's funny you bring up that because Derek Queen or I was with Zach Randolph, he originally got drafted behind Rasheed Wallace. Like he was like the third big in a really good group. I think Jermaine O'Neal was out there because the NBA used to just stack bigs. Like you needed bigs in general.
Like you had to
Um,
have every team had to have two. You had to have two.
Yeah, like real bigs too. And
Real ones, yeah.
and that's how Zebo, like they got on him, they got him fit, right? They taught him how to play the game, and like that's how he became Zebo. But I think like Khan to
block.
Nipple, like I've actually kind of become a buyer on him if he were to fall. I don't know that he
Wow.
will.
Yeah.
Just
If he was at
because
13, I think
and
you should draft him.
it's to the 70%, right? He's not going to
Uh-huh.
be Trey, and I don't think he's going to be even maybe Bogey. What Bogey was, he'd have to get a lot stronger probably to
Mhm.
be what Bogey is defensively, and maybe be able to handle
Yeah.
like bigger off guards and stuff, and help on the perimeter. But his ability to run the pick and roll, like throw the little lob, finish around the rim, shoot the three, coming around pick and roll and being able to shoot three is huge, right? If you get a guy that can do that, coming in behind Trey and playing next to Dyson, he's young, right? You don't have to give him a crap ton of minutes and play him next to Trey at all. But if he's just playing next to Dyson, then he really alleviates a lot of that ball handling and maybe, yeah, he does grow as a defender. I worry about the athleticism, right? That's the thing about the NBA. It's so different than college. The game gets spread out. You can have a great shooter that just gets phased out. They can't run, but if he can keep up, man, I think that would be an interesting player offensively behind Trey.
I do want to ask y'all this too. We just started the NBA Combine recently. Has any players stood out to you as of late during that whole process so far? Or
I think it's a lot of guys. Like Cedric Howard is one.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it all, but he's definitely on the list. Maxime Reynaud is someone that I was high on, but I think he like completely dominated in the scrimmage. I think he finished with 29 and 3.
Yeah.
And made all his free throws, was 2 of 5 from 3. He's super skilled. I really like him a lot. Miles Bird had a great combine game too. Like he was getting threes up at volume, drilling them, very disruptive. I think those three were the biggest guys that stood out to me. What about you, Leon?
I think Sorber's wingspan
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
made him so much money yesterday because everybody was like, "Oh, the rumor was 7'4,"
Which is
and
crazy.
everybody's like, "Oh man, if he can have a 7'4" wingspan, man, he's going blah blah."
Yeah.
And then it ends up being 7'6", and it's like,
That's
yikes!
nuts. That's like 80 shit.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
like
insane. Yeah,
he's got that's impressive. So that was big. I really would have liked him to be healthy around this time, man. He probably wouldn't have done it. If he was healthy, he probably wouldn't have been a scrimmage guy, but man, I would have liked to see it. But I think him, who else? I think Carter Bryant's athleticism showing up on paper, to kind of solidify what we all thought. Who else? You think of a guy that, yeah, you got me with Miles because I remember being high on Miles and he didn't shoot well, like the second half of the college season, and then he ends up being like 6'3" and a quarter or something, like long arms but small, like and slender, but shot the cover off the ball in the scrimmage, and he'll be in another one tomorrow, so it'll be interesting to see how he looks as like a defensive playmaking guard. But it's like we always say, and this is a DeAndre Hunter stop. Like some guys are just one-on-one workout guys, and it's not going to look right on an NBA floor. It's not going to look the same on the NBA floor. So we got to be wary of that, as always.
Drill guys.
Yeah, drill guys.
A lot of dudes look amazing when they
In
take
drills.
the shirt off in the gym. They get the lather going. Coach is like, damn,
Yep.
do something with that.
But it's like this. Like Trey Johnson shot the cover off the ball in workouts, but I'm not surprised because Trey Johnson took every kind of shot you could take in college, and he shot 39% from 3. And I'm not surprised that he hit every mid-range shot in the mid-range drill because he's clearly the best shooting prospect in the draft. Clearly. Or is it Colin Finipple? I don't know.
I was going to ask y'all too. Do y'all know who has the biggest wingspan in the NBA?
Is there someone bigger than a 7'6"? Because I know AD does have a 7'6". That was like one.
Is it Jared Allen?
It's not. It
is Wemby, of course.
It's Wemby who has an 8-foot wingspan.
8 foot?
8 feet.
That doesn't. I mean, with him, that does make sense.
Yeah.
Him having a +6 honestly is nuts. Like in general.
Dang.
And then, if you look at the differential between wingspan and height, Sorber's 8.75, he would be tied for 11th. But if you're talking centers, it would be 5th behind Mo Bamba, Rob Williams, Isaiah Stewart, Udoka Azubuike. That's it. And then also Cedric Howard is a +9, which would put him.
Crazy.
The only guys that are shooting guards that have a higher differential is Taylor Horton Tucker and Jalen Williams.
Yeah, I was trying to think of THT. I know his arms like touch the ground. When he
Yeah, it
walks.
looks crazy.
Yeah, THT actually has the biggest differential, but that just kind of gives you an idea of just how much of an outlier Sorber, Coward, and Fleming are, because Fleming is also +9. So like those three guys, I think really popped off the page for me when I saw
Coward
this.
definitely made himself a bunch of money, right? Because he's
Yeah.
got like almost that Kawhi
Mm.
build, and there was like someone was talking about like Kawhi's hands, how huge they are, and like he changed his shot and it let him like have really really soft touch. It helped him. So some teams going to convince themselves that they can like unlock something with that, right? And it is cool to see a lot of the guys' tools. One thing I loved Rasheer Fleming's height being legit, so that honestly was great for me. That's really all I'm looking for from the combine is knowing the guys are as big as they're supposed to be. There's a lot of liars. But yeah, it's
Ace Bailey.
yeah,
Oh,
Ace
Liar.
Bailey.
dropped like
I
what
don't
2
think that was
inches,
his
man.
big deal, but
But I'm not when I
No,
saw him
no,
in
I
person,
mean,
I
he's
thought he was
still
that tall. I'm not gonna lie.
still, I mean, teams still love a guy that's 6'8" in shoes, right? Like
For
that's
sure.
not an issue. But the thing, he was supposed to be the 6'10" unicorn, which is like a much different level of player long
Mhm.
term. But no, it's just fun seeing the guys run and jump. There's definitely been some guys put up some crazy numbers. Max Burt. It was good seeing. I wish Carter was a little taller, but it is good seeing how athletic he is. I've been trying to come up with a comp for him, and I'm like, I feel like he could be like Josh Smith, but like he could also be like Gerald Green. Like he could just be so many different things. I don't know. It's a very interesting player.
it is very interesting. Yeah, I'm still on Herb Jones, bro. He's Herb Jones, bro. We respect him.
It's very
Same
interesting. Yeah,
issue.
no, the defensive playmaking is like rare. Honestly, Dyson Daniels is even like a crazy comp.
Oh, here we go. I found it. I'm looking for Bogdan Bogdanovic's pre-draft
Well,
measurements.
Bogey was
Gosh, he
old when
was
he
so
came to the
young.
league too, though. He was like a full-grown
Mhm.
man.
When he came to the league, but he was drafted many years
Oh yeah,
before he
true,
came to
true.
the league in 2014.
No, but yeah, Khan. I think he measured like 6'6", right?
Yeah,
Something like that, or
6'6".
6.
It was
That's
6'5".
why
It
it
was
was
6'5".
6'5".
Pretty sure it was 6'5". Without
Unbelievable.
shoes.
But it was. I mean, that's what it is. Like as long as it's not 6'2",
Yeah,
6'3",
he was
right, or
6'5",
6'4".
219 with a 6'6" and a quarter wingspan.
Yeah, right.
I didn't realize he's like from a huge basketball family. Like all of his brothers who, some of his younger brothers are like pretty good. They might actually.
They're
I think
committed to Duke, right?
yeah, they're gonna
Already.
go to Duke. I'm pretty sure. His mother was a big hooper as well. So I think like that pedigree matters to me a little bit. I think the defense isn't great. I know you're talking a little bit about like him putting on weight. He was in the right position, but I don't know. It's like for someone who's that strong offensively, it felt like it really didn't translate defensively. And I don't know if that's like a stance thing or what, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I still think you take him because like he just has that frame of like being like he has the frame to be a good defender. Like TJ McConnell, I know he's a lot smaller, but TJ McConnell has a thick base. Like Colin Knipple is he's such a strong. I can't remember the exact game. I put it in my notes when I saw it. He's able to keep a straight line drive when guys are pushing like are on his hip. Like it's more than just put them in jail. It's like he doesn't feel them at all.
He's got a really good frame.
Yeah,
he's
does.
very composed on the ball. Like, yeah, I like the player. Hope he can defend. To be fair, honestly, you can just play him like kind of as a point guard next to someone that can defend. Just don't let he and Trey don't have to play too much. You can lower Trey's minutes some if you want, like right, or
just put him next to
There's
Dyson.
ways you can do it.
Ideally,
There's ways you can do it.
Ideally, you want to be able to do the Ja Morant thing and play him 30 minutes a game and still win games.
Yeah,
like that's the team you're trying to build. You're trying to build a team that can play 100 games. Like 'cause sometimes, right? If you go to let's say you win the NBA championship, every series goes to 6, right? So you played 82 plus 24. So you played 100 games, right? You want to build a 100-game roster, basically. That's what you're trying to do. So you don't want your star to have to play 37 minutes, 38, 40 minutes a night just to make it through, just to make play-in or just to be the 5th seed. Maybe you play that guy 29 minutes on a Wednesday in freaking LA and you lose that game. But because you're winning games, when your star does play, because you have a 100-game roster, you're still the fourth or third seed in your conference. So it's
Yeah.
about building a deep team. Like they say, we're in the weak link era, man.
To that point, I actually had a really in-depth Twitter argument not too long ago where I went
Mm.
through Donovan Mitchell's game logs and
As you
looked at the
often
minutes,
do.
looked at the
Oh
minutes
my
played,
god.
and yeah, no, to your point, Quinn Snyder, there are many nights where Quinn like went light on Don's minutes for one reason or another, right? I mean, they were winning a lot of games, so you can rest your guys some. He wasn't going too crazy. It wasn't 36 minutes every night. Some nights it was 35. Some nights it was in the low 30s, high 20s if they were blowing somebody out. So yeah, you want some options?
But
Mm.
I do want to go and shift to this topic. And now I want to ask everyone. Now y'all are now GMs, and I want you to just think about this for a second. You have now gotten control of who you want to pick at 13 and 22. So if you were the GM, who would you pick at 13 and 22? It's you get to choose who you want no matter what. You don't know who's been picked yet or whatever, basically. And I'll just start with you, Marco. Who would you pick at 13 and 22 if you had the
Alright,
option?
choose me first.
Yep.
If I had to go 13 and 22, think at 13. I got two at the. Can I say two at 13, or do I have to just pick one?
You can say two, like if you have, yeah.
Well,
Basically,
when you're a
go ahead,
GM,
Greg.
you don't get to say,
Well, I have
"Well,
a
I'm picking
board.
this guy. I'm picking this guy, but if I wasn't picking this guy, I would pick this other guy." That's what Adam Silver says at the podium at pick 13.
All right, so at 13, I'm going Clifford. Fuck it.
Oh,
I didn't mean to say that
wow.
on the pod. My bad.
You're good.
The big red dog, huh?
I'm going Clifford. 22, Maxime.
Mm.
I think I'll be fine with that. Think I'll be fine with that outcome on those two picks.
I have to be different now.
Oh, was that what you were gonna do?
Yeah, it
I'll
was.
give
It
you
was
some
it's one
time
of my
then
iterations.
if you need
Oh
time.
no,
I'll
please go ahead. I could always
Sure.
say a name. You know, I don't know where any of these guys are gonna. We don't know who's gonna fall. You know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, to that point, like I've been pilled lately, but I'm interested in Carter Bryant. I think as a long-term play. I'm still not sure what he is offensively. He's very theoretical to me, but Trey Young with that type of athlete, I think long term is a fun play. There's some Jalen Johnson things in what he can do offensively. And if you have that at the 3, I think that's still fine in certain lineups. And I think if I would take Rasheer Fleming at 22, hopefully he is there. If he's not, I'm going to throw Kobe Buckland on top of 22 and go get Rasheer wherever he's about to end up because I need that player because I do think that he'll be a very a good role player. I think we're pretty soon in the NBA. I don't think he'll take too long to get used to the game. I think what he does right now will help a lot of teams. I think he had a lot of time in college to learn his game. Right, he knows exactly what he wants to do. And he's big and strong, and I think the Hawks need that.
Would you really trade up for that though?
Yeah, if someone's going to take him, yeah, why not? It's Kobe Buckman. He has done nothing for this team.
I mean,
He's
yeah,
gonna go
you're
get guard anyway.
okay.
Whoa, Chris. Whoa, you can't say that, buddy.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I know you guys like Kobe.
Somebody's been watching the freaking Family Guy.
Go ahead, Leon. I thought you had. You said
like
you
you
just-
said, man.
Okay, go ahead.
We don't know who's gonna fall, so I'm picking Trey Johnson at 13.
Oh my god. That's it.
I'm freaking Trey Johnson at 13. And you know what? Forget about it. We're taking Yaxel Lindeborg at
Oh,
22.
interesting, spicy,
Very spicy. Why not?
spicy.
But in real
Mm.
life, it's Carter Bryant and probably Maxime. He showed me something, so I'm gonna believe what my eyes saw and what I've seen on tape and go with him. Extremely
right.
skilled, actually 7 feet, can shoot the ball, can drive the ball. And like he was out there, being a good teammate, and like being a good teammate sometimes is not just making it look like you're being a good teammate, which is, clapping it up with guys, talking, that can be forced. But like consistently making the right play is a really hard thing to do
Hmm.
in these kind of one-off scrimmages where you don't know these guys. These aren't guys that you've been practicing with since the start of June, and we're in October, and now it's our first game. These are guys that half of them, some of them you may know, or you may have known when you were younger, you came up with them or played against them, but like you haven't been playing with most of these guys for months. You met these guys a day or two ago,
Yep.
tops, right? And continue like trusting those guys in that kind of setting really bodes well for what you're gonna do when you're playing with other NBA players. So I like Maxine. He grew on me.
Yep.
All right. What do you think, David? You're the GM now. Put your GM hat on.
I like Leon's picks. I like Chris Shauna Rasheer. I think I'd probably go Sorber.
Obviously.
13. If Colin Murray Boyles wasn't on the board, Sorber is probably my favorite prospect in this draft. I think he's a really special interior passer. I think he's super strong. Of course, we just talked about the wingspan. All the numbers I've looked into with him just make me fall even more in love with him. Pause. But I think the other thing is, it's just like he's one of those strength creator guys that I think we need. I think CMB is like the epitome of that. Like he would be the guy. I just don't think he'll be there at 13, and I don't think it's worth trading up for him, unfortunately. But I think Sorber has a realistic place to be there at 13. I wouldn't go double big as much as I like Renault. So like I think Renault was like my top option at 22, but with the way this combine is going, all the intel, the interviews I've watched, it seems like he's definitely gonna be a guy that could go like early 20s or in like the late lottery, because it's just like, to what Leon was saying, super vocal guy, like does all the little things, but he's also so skilled. Like it's hard to find a 7-footer that has that type of ball skill and is actually a 7-footer. Like Danny Wolf has those ball skills to a different level, but he doesn't play like, as much as he doesn't play like a big man on the perimeter, he definitely doesn't do it at the rim. And I think sometimes when guys get paired with a traditional big in college, you kind of mask that a little bit. But like he's not so. I don't believe in Danny Wolf nearly as much as I do right now. But at 22, I think I like the guys I've been looking at mainly. A lot of the same guys that you all were talking about. I think it would probably come down to I'm really interested in Thiero, and just to be different from everyone else, I'd probably go with Adu. That would give you a really powerful combination between Sorber and Thiero. Thiero is like he's just a whirlwind. He's like the Tasmanian devil. Like I feel like where Tari Eason creates a lot of chaos, like being disruptive, like Thiero is like one of those dudes who does the same thing, but he's also just so athletic that a steal could turn into a poster. Like when Dyson gets a steal, it's pretty much guaranteed offense for us, but I don't think it's like open court. Like I'm scared to get it out in front of him. I think this dude he's still a little raw for sure, but like the power, the weak side rim protection, the amount of ground he covers, I'm pretty sure he had the highest vert. They haven't, I don't think they fixed the anthro, but yeah, like I'd probably go him. But I liked all the picks that you all made. Those are all guys, and that's what y'all was saying. Like, there's only so many guys that I wouldn't be happy with. Like my list for 13 is 6 or 7 players, and my list for 22 is 8. So, a lot of options, and I don't think realistically, I think I'll be at least excited from at least one of the picks. So.
Do you view Adu as like a wing, like a 2-3, or like playing a little bit of 4
I
as
think
well?
I think I view him as like a 3, but like
Just a
functionally, I think he's like, I'm trying to think about I guess he'd be more like PJ Washington to me. Like PJ Washington is
Yeah,
Ooh,
I can see that.
okay.
yeah, like PJ is like a very, toolsy type of guy that can guard up and down, but
Really strong.
very strong as well. But I think like if I'll send y'all some of the clips I saw on Twitter, but like the blocks that this dude gets is ridiculous.
You watched
The dude's very powerful.
the
I was looking at
245
some
of Adu blocks.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, I was watching some
Yeah.
clips. Yeah, it's for me. I think what kind of threw me off for him is like the way he jumps and the way he plays. He's very built for one, so like he's very solid, and so he kind of looked bigger. But yeah, he got off the ground. I thought he was like 6'8", and then I found
Mhm.
out he was short, I was like, oh wow, he can really get
Yeah,
up. I was
he's
like,
got
you know what I'm saying?
6'6"
He's
and a
getting up
quarter.
there the way he was
I
getting
got
off the
him
ground. So
at 6'6" and a quarter,
yeah,
218, 7-foot wingspan.
yeah, he looked like a power forward the way he's jumping. Like that guy's
Yeah,
a good athlete.
that's OG stuff, just build wise.
I think OG makes sense too, like in terms of
Mhm.
role. Like you see OG right now is guarding up and down. He's taking centers, he's switching on the guys. I think this
Doing
dude
everything.
could be, he could be like really, really dangerous. Like he's kind of like a heat seeking missile. Like you turn the corner on the center, and all of a sudden you have like 6'6"
Mhm.
flying at you 12 feet above the rim. Like I think he could be different.
Yeah, you're not putting your shoulder in him and driving, right?
Mhm.
Definitely not.
I'm gonna give my own picks. For
Oh, boy.
13,
Brace yourselves, everybody.
oh my god, they're not gonna be
Immoral.
that bad.
Jason Noel, JK.
No. At number 13, I select
Hugo Gonzalez.
Leg.
Colin Murray Boyles.
All right. Okay. Solid.
I
feel like
know.
you just said that.
Cool. Yeah, won't be mad at that.
And at number 12, I am going to select
22.
I-
But go ahead.
I'm gonna 22. I keep messing up words today.
All good, brother.
Cedric Coward, and I'm praying that he's there
Yeah,
at
right.
22.
Yeah, you shit.
I'm-
Yeah, keep praying, brother.
Praying that he's there at 22. But I don't think he's gonna be there. But you just gotta pray. He could fall. Like maybe he said something bad to some GMs.
Nah,
Maybe
man.
attitude
That kid's a
concerns.
class act.
Well, hey, I mean, I don't know if y'all have heard the story about Gilbert Arenas, how they were doing the conditioning test, and he found out like there was a max he could run on it. And he's like, "Well, this is stupid," and he just jumped off of the treadmill, and that's why he went in the second round. He's like, "I'm not doing that."
Didn't he like also show up with like wearing Converse or something like that, and he
Yeah,
he
yeah,
wouldn't take them off when he got on the treadmill?
yeah,
Oh my god.
yeah. And
That-
they had
that
like
story
a
is hilarious.
rookie like symposium, and he told them he wanted to be a pimp. So that I mean,
Oh,
look,
yeah.
you want a guy to fall in the draft. There are ways to fall off boards, and they'll be there at 22.
Oh my god. That's oh
That's
my,
the game.
that's hilarious. Why would you? Okay. But thank you for sharing that, Chris. But that's stupid. Why would you do that?
Man, sometimes you got to put your foot down, man. Some of those tests are kind of,
I
redundant.
get it, but like, why would you? That's I don't know why.
That's
that-
what
why
makes
that's so
Gilbert
funny.
Arenas Gilbert Arenas, folks. Just so we're clear.
Yeah, no, it's hilarious.
But with that being said, we're at the end of our podcast. Does anyone have any final thoughts? Oh my god!
My words just beating your ass today, ain't it?
Comments before we end the podcast. I sound like Porky Pig or something. Like,
Goodness
oh my
gracious, bro. He do be looking like Captain
I actually
America.
almost made that joke at the beginning of the podcast, but
god!
I
Oh
won't
my god!
for it.
Shut up, Chris! Oh my god!
Shit.
God.
No, I mean, there's not too much I have to say. I mean, the draft is gonna be really interesting for the Hogs. I think this is a big summer. I know we've probably said that every summer for the last 4 summers, but I think the departure of Landry Fields, the big public announcement of looking for a Pobo, and now like suddenly Hawks are looking at Giannis after being linked to KD and some other things. I think this is going to be an interesting summer. I think this will be a big draft for this team. The path they go in the draft might tell us what their plans are in July with the trade, right? If they go young or old, we might have a clue. The positions they pick might let us know who's going out. So yeah, it'll be fun to keep up with this.
What do you say, Marco? Any final comments?
Not really, man. Just keep an eye out on the news.
All right, Leon, you got any final thoughts?
Dang, man. I remember when I first saw that I do Fiero tape, bro. I was like, I gotta get away from this guy. He doesn't shoot free throws well. He's a junior, but now I'm watching it again, and hey, that boy gets off the ground, bro. Like,
No, yeah, it's impressive.
I mean, and the drives are crazy. Like the first step is bananas. Hawks, listen, just get a guy who can get his foot in every door, whose voice will be heard in every room, and we'll take it from there. All right, that's all we need. Go Hawks.
And David, you won't have any final thoughts, and also if you want to share where we can find you again.
For sure. Delete 43 all platforms. I'm just enjoying the draft process, man. Like I just think this class turned out to be a lot more fun than I expected. I remember starting class like, bro, there's no bigs. Like it's literally just Marlo watching Rocco. That's all I was considering, honestly. And,
Bye, Rocco.
No,
Yeah.
Rocco's not even a consideration.
Rocco not even scrimmaging, bro. Like
Yeah.
he's dodging the comp. Like, what are you doing?
Nah, man. Somebody gave that man a promise before the season started, bro. There's no way, bro.
Yeah. And that's the only explanation. But like, I mean, I'm just enjoying the fact that there's so many guys we can talk about. And you know, y'all just continue to look out for some Hawk specific draft stuff. I'm doing a series where I'm gonna be looking at basically building a big board for every lottery team. And like, you know, there are areas of need. And you know, of course, the Hawks are technically in the lottery using the Kings picks. So yeah, man. Appreciate y'all. You know, love talking draft, love talking Hawks. So love being here.
All right. Thank you so much, David. And as always, thank you all so much for listening to Hard Knock Hawks. We will see you all in the next edition of our show. Have a great day / night / afternoon / whatever. See y'all for the next one. Peace out.
Ah.
Ah.
Hawks.